Thank you. I'd like to call to order the San Diego Water District June 18th regular meeting. And I will ask the city clerk, I will ask the city clerk to do the roll call. Thank you.
Board Member San Antonio? Present. Board Member Schaefer?
Here.
Board Member O'Hara?
Present.
Vice President Ehlers?
Here.
President Lyons?
Here.
Record will show that all members of the board are present and that Water District board members do receive an independent stipend of $100 for convening Water District meetings pursuant to San Diego Water District Resolution 89-07. And since you did have the 2 consecutive meetings, you get paid the $100 for both.
Thank you very much. And now we are going to please all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 4 on our agenda today is special presentations and proclamations. And we have one today, and that's the presentation of Water Smart Landscape Contest winner. And if I understand right, we have a presentation on that? Thank you.
So, I got it. Yeah. Every year we have the Water Landscape Contest. It's the Water Smart Landscape Contest. Water Smart is for sustain and manage America's resources for tomorrow. This program rewards water-efficient landscapes created by district customers, and it complements existing conservation rebates and incentives and educational outreach programs. There are 12 participating member water agencies in this landscape contest program. And we are pleased to announce that the winner for the landscape contest in the San Diego Water District is Shay O'Keefe. Yay. And so here we have some photos of the water conservation garden that Shay designed at her home. There are a lot of native plants and water-efficient plants that she's put into the landscape at her house. There's also a dry rock creek that is going through the landscape there. There's another nice picture that shows it also welcomes a lot of wildlife. Shay is a wildlife biologist and designed her yard with that in mind. There is also a watering system that senses when there has been precipitation and will not water the landscape, thus conserving water at her home. And those are some additional pictures from her landscape at her house. So we'd like to bring Shay up and recognize her for her landscape at her house. We have a $250, okay, thanks, Home Depot gift card. And we also have a goodie bag with some district items for you too.
I know. I just wanted to thank Shay O'Keefe personally. I think the images really speak volumes for the quality of the work and the focus on the pollinators and all of the beneficial insects that sets a wonderful example for what to do, not only just for Water Smart, but for wildlife. So thank you very much. I want to hand you this bag of goodies that I hope you'll enjoy. And I don't know if our whole board would like to come down and take a group photo We're all set up to do that. Thank you. Would you like to invite your family up who are in the audience? That'd be great. Anybody who helped with it, come on. Wonderful.
I'm the mother.
Congratulations. Sure, whatever you'd like. There you go. Oopsie. Got it. Everyone good?
All right, I'm going to take a couple of photos. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Take some more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. Great. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I hear about it all the time. And what's really cool is I live out in Iowa, and I live in the country estates, and twice my house has gotten awards from the country estate association.
It's always fun to acknowledge the community when they're, and also have them so excited about what they're doing. So thank you. Our next item is item 5, oral communications. Do we have any? Thank you. Item number 6 is report from closed session. Closed session was held, and there is not a report out from closed session, correct, City Attorney?
Board President Lyons, there is a closed session report.
Okay,
I will
thank
give
you.
it.
Please
Thank you.
proceed.
So on the special closed session agenda, the Board of Directors entered into closed session approximately 4 p.m., recessed out of closed session approximately 5 p.m. While in closed session, we did discuss 2 items on the closed session agenda. The first session was conference with legal counsel, significant exposure to litigation, under the authority of Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 2. One case, this was a tort claim filed by the City of San Diego against the San Diego Water District. The second item was closed session, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9A, name of the case, San Diego Water District and SFID et al. Versus the City of San Diego. While in closed session, all board members were present. While in closed session, the board took no reportable action on either item. And that concludes closed session report.
Thank you for that. City Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the posted agenda, and then moving to the consent calendar, no members of the public have pulled any items.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Give me one moment. The
Sure.
system has frozen. There we go. There we go. Board Member San Antonio and Board Member O'Hara. And that motion does carry unanimously. It takes us to item 10A.
Item 10A, this is district employee vacancies, recruitment and retention efforts. And the contact person is Human Resources Analyst Roner.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening. I'm Judy Von Kalinowski, Human Resources Director, and I'm with Lisa Roner today. So together we'll be presenting the item as we go forward. So tonight, basically, we're here before Council to introduce a new law, AB 2561, that went into effect in January of this year. It requires all public agencies to report out on vacancy rates, recruitment, and retention efforts. And also, it's important to note that this presentation must go before council before the adoption of the final budget. So therefore, we're here tonight. It also requires that the vacancy rates, should they go above 20% or higher, that a plan must be in place, and we present that as well as to how we're going to fill these vacancies. And also notify the recognized employee organizations of the presentation tonight, and of course of introduce the AB 2561 law that went into effect. We did contact all the unions. They had absolutely no issues, no concerns about the vacancy rates, and actually expressed their appreciation for our executive team, our city manager, our assistant city manager, for the relationships that we've had in ensuring that our vacancy rates are at a good number. And as you probably saw in the staff report, we're at a really good place with our vacancy reports. And the reason why this, one of the intents, which is often asked, why did this law go in effect? The main reason is for accountability, transparency of public agencies. Again, our organization has not had that issue whatsoever. And as you can see on our vacancy rates for the board, it is at 0. That is quite impressive. And we're able to do that through various factors. That is through, solid salary structure, compensation, benefits, training and development, many factors that go into place. But I really want to point out tonight and give credit where it's due, and that is to our lead recruiter, Lisa Roner. So I want to point that out. In addition to that, we have amazing support team that bringing on the onboarding of our new employees, making this a choice to be. We want to attract top talent. In addition to that, it takes a team to make this happen, to see numbers like that, to see 0%. And the appreciation, Lisa and I want to also express deep appreciation to our departments, our directors, our managers, our supervisors, to our employee associations, and also to the council. It really takes the support, partnerships, the collaborative relationship that we have to make this happen with these numbers, and you'll see that as well in some other numbers that I'll be sharing later tonight. And so going forward, what we'll continue to do is come before council every year, likely right before council, right before the final adoption of the budget is made. We'll continue to monitor our vacancy rates. This is something we've already done. Lisa monitors our vacancy rates every 2 weeks. That is why our numbers are what they are today. And then we'll continue working with our employees. And that concludes our formal presentation. Should you have any questions or comments, Lisa and I are happy to take them.
Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Lisa. I'm really happy to see this data. We have the impression, I have had the impression as the president of this board, that we're doing a good job in these areas of keeping employees and hiring employees, and it's good to see the data shows that as well.
Absolutely.
Do we have any board member questions? I don't see any in the queue. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve this report.
O'Hara moves,
Second.
and Schaefer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep.
Close, but not quite.
Thank you. Appreciate your presentation. We'll proceed now to item 10B, a public hearing regarding San Diego Water District 2025 Public Health Goals Report. The contact person is Water Operations Manager Gonzalez.
Thank you, President Alliance and members of the board. My name is Raul Gonzalez. I'm the Operations Manager for the San Diego Water District. Tonight, we are presenting the San Diego Water District's 2025 Public Health Goal Report. To lead the presentation here tonight, we have Tim Bailey, Director of Water Treatment for the RE Badger Treatment Plant.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Tim Bailey, Director of Water Treatment for the Joint Facilities, RE Badger Filtration Plant. As Raul will mention, I'll be presenting the 2025 Public Health Goal Report. And I do note that there are several new faces on the board since we did this last time back in 2022. So I'll start with a little bit of background on what public health goals are and how it pertains to your water quality. So to start with, the California Health and Safety Code requires that any public water agency that serves water to greater than 10,000 service connections provide a report once every 3 years, summarizing all constituents that were found above what's called a public health goal. Now, public health goals are established by the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, branch of the EPA. And these are set at levels below which the constituent poses no significant risk to public health. Now, if you're like me, you might want a definition of that qualifier of significant. So just for reference, the EPA defines significant as a person that drinks a particular water, 2 liters a day, for 70 years, would have a 1 in 1 million chance of having an adverse effect. So just keep that in the back of the mind. There is a definition for what's termed significant risk to public health. Again, these are not regulatory standards. They are not compliance standards. These are strictly reference points that are actually often used for the development of regulatory standards. Next slide. And the regulatory standards that we do have are very prescriptive. We do have a report coming out this month, or next month actually. It's the Consumer Confidence Report, or the Annual Water Quality Report, and this summarizes all the data that was detected over the last year in reference to what are called National Primary Drinking Water Standards, or MCLs for short. That stands for Maximum Contaminant Level, as well as public health goals. So it's a more comprehensive report coming out in July. But this report in particular is just referencing the public health goals. The maximum contaminant levels, the regulatory standards, these are mandatory, and they are set at very conservative levels, and they are the regulatory definition of what is considered safe. And just for reference, the water that is served to the San Diego Water District has complied with all state and federal primary drinking water standards for as long as I have been there. So we're something that we are very proud of. So, next slide. So jumping into the data, we did separate this, myself and Michelle Boggs, our laboratory analyst. We separated this data into 2 separate categories because they are very dissimilar here. So the first table that you see here, these are what are referred to as disinfection byproducts. These are expected known constituents that are in the water due to the disinfection practices that we use at the facility. So as you know, any water supplier is required to have a disinfectant in that water, and every disinfectant that you could use would have an associated disinfection byproduct associated with it. So this first one here, chlorite, this is a disinfection byproduct associated with our use of chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide is used at the treatment facility as a pre-disinfectant, and the reason we use this is it actually helps us to streamline our process and use less of other chemicals to push the water successfully through the treatment process. The established public health goal is 0.05 milligrams per liter, and our range of detection was anywhere from non-detect up to 0.7 milligrams per liter, with an average detection of 0.47. And what's not on this table, and I apologize, is the National Primary Drinking Water Standard, the regulatory level. That is actually 1 part per million, or 1 milligram per liter, I should say. So as you can see, that our range of detections and our average detection are well below that regulatory health standard. The remaining 5, is that 5? The remaining 5 on this first table are also referred to as disinfection byproducts, but from our use of chlorine as our primary disinfectant. These 5 are either considered trihalomethanes, or THMs for short, or haloacetic acids, HAA5 for short. They all have an established public health goal of 1 microgram per liter. Interestingly enough, there's not an individual national primary drinking water standard associated with all of these on an individual basis, but they are regulated and monitored collectively. So collectively, all the disinfection byproducts, THMs, there's a standard for that, a health-based standard of 80 parts per billion. The haloacetic acids have a standard of 60 parts per billion. The range of detections on all of these, you can see, range anywhere from non-detect up to 29 parts per billion, or micrograms per liter. Sorry, those are interchangeable. I tend to use both of them. But as you can see, the range of detections do exceed the public health goal, but again, not on this report, is the health-based compliance standard of 60 for HA5s and 80 for THMs. Below this, you see the second table. These are polyfluoroalkyl substances, kind of a real tongue twister. But these are PFAS. So you may have heard about PFAS. It is a very very in the news type constituent that we see right now. This is a constituent that you see a lot in Orange County right now, which is causing a little bit of havoc up there with water quality. This is a constituent that we found in Lake Hodges back in 2023. There's not a California standard for any of these yet. There is a national standard. This is opened by the EPA, again, a national primary drinking water standard of 4 parts per trillion. The public health goal for this same constituent is 0.007 parts per trillion, so significantly lower. The range of detections is anywhere from non-detect to 2.8 parts per trillion with an average detection of 0.65 parts per trillion. I can reiterate at this point that all of these are somewhat expected with the exception of the PFOA. This is something new that we have seen since 2023. But through the treatment process, we've been able to keep these levels down significantly through the treatment process as well as our blending of the local water and the imported water as well. Next slide. So the second portion of this report has to do with our treatment options, or what are termed as the best available technologies for these particular constituents. We're required to, as part of this report, to investigate using the EPA's tools what available technologies would best bring these levels of these particular constituents down below the public health goal if the agency chose to pursue this. The options identified by the EPA through their tool were enhanced coagulation with granular activated carbon, or GAC for short, or reverse osmosis. These both come at a cost, as you'd expect. The tool also, or the tool from the EPA that we use to determine this has a cost estimation tool. And the numbers that it would spit out are essentially for GAC, on average around $6 million for capital improvement and $1.1 million for annual operating costs. And reverse osmosis, as you might expect, is significantly higher in the range of about $30 million in capital improvement and about $6 million in annual operating costs. And I will caution against using these numbers as being prescriptive. That is not their intention. The intention behind these numbers are more to provide a starting point for decision makers, such as yourselves, to initiate discussions on potential feasibilities. So I'm not a doctor, but I would assume that these numbers would be significantly higher in the real world if you took into consideration all the different things that are associated with our source waters, our process, our community, all this stuff. So the key considerations or the key takeaways from this presentation is really that all the national primary drinking water standards, all the state primary drinking water standards have always been met. The water provided to San Diego Water District has always been safe, something that we are very proud of. So at this time, there are no further actions recommended, but with that, I can turn it back to Raul or answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Tim. That concludes our presentation. So at this time, staff can answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you for the staff report. What I want to do is, since this is a public hearing, we are here to hear any public comments on your presentation and on this item. What I'd like to do first then is ask the council to disclose any other information they have received that is not included in the staff report today. Councilmember San Antonio?
Nothing to report.
I took a tour. Tim gave me a tour of the Badger treatment plant, and it was phenomenal. That's the only thing I had to report.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
I also have nothing to report. Now we can, let's see, we can, sorry, I'm not going to do this regularly. We can ask if there's any clarifying questions to staff regarding this item from the board members.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
I had one or two. The just understanding the PFAS limits you're talking. I thought I heard 7 parts per million, but the report says 4. Did I mishear that? It said 4 parts per trillion?
Yeah, sorry. So there are 2 sets of standards. There's the federal standards and there's the state standards. As of right now, California doesn't have its own set of standards. It has what are called notification levels or action levels. For PFOA, the notification level is actually 5.1, but we are still bound by the federal health-based standard of 4 parts per trillion.
And is the parts per trillion the same as the nanograms per liter?
Yes, yeah, sorry,
Okay.
yeah.
I just had
Yeah.
to check, you know.
I'm sorry, I use them interchangeably, I apologize.
So the 2.8 maximum range that was detected is still underneath the level even for PFAS?
Yes, even the notification level for the state of California, yes.
And then the other question is, comparing to, like, I happen to be on Oliebenheim Water, how do we compare to Oliebenheim Water? And they have a different final filtration system. What can you compare and contrast?
Sure, two vastly different treatment methods. So the joint facilities is what's called a conventional filtration plant. It's an older method, but it is a very bulletproof, old school, tried and true method. There's really not much you can throw at the conventional filtration plant that it can't handle. The Oliebenheim plant is a membrane plant. It's referred to as microfiltration. So it basically has a membrane that it pulls water through, and it has a selective pore size which pulls and which essentially filters out any contaminants in the water. Now that being said, the majority of membrane facilities do have additional pre-treatment before the flashy stage, the membrane stage. I haven't been up there in several years, but I do believe that they have a fairly significant pre-treatment before that as well. And the reason for that is that while those membranes are great, and if your source water is extremely clean, they work very well. If your source water has any sort of organics in or anything like that, they will foul fairly quickly because they're filtering all of it out. It is very effective, produces very good water quality. Efficiency might not be quite what it is for conventional filtration.
Okay, so on the PFAS in particular, would they get caught by the membrane? In other words, what are their numbers coming at the end? Are they detectable at all in PFAS on the outlet water?
I don't know for certain, but I would say that it's likely if they had it in their source water, which I don't believe they do. So their source water is the same as one of our source waters. They only have the aqueduct water, the raw water aqueduct water. The joint facilities has two. We essentially have Hodges and the aqueduct water, and we know we don't have it in the aqueduct water, so I'm assuming that they don't as well. But their membrane pore size, I believe, is a little bit too large to filter out PFAS. So if there was PFAS, it would probably make it through those membranes. Now, if those membranes, if they had additional stages of membranes getting smaller and smaller and smaller up to RO, reverse osmosis would in turn filter that out.
Okay, so in essence, when you talk about the financial analysis in here that looked at RO, that was as though you added RO to the back end of something like presumably they would do a staged.
Yes,
type of
yeah, and
approach.
that's
Okay.
why I wanted to caution that, because it wouldn't be a plug and play type of thing. You would still need additional treatment ahead of that to get the water quality to a point where RO would work for you.
Okay, good. I appreciate the compare and contrast. Thank you.
All right, Board Member O'Hara.
Appreciate the tremendous report. Really glad to see that we're monitoring where our water levels, the health of them, where it's at, and that we're achieving great status across the board, hitting a lot of really good numbers. There's no outliers. I think we balance this with a great budget as we see coming, as well as what we see here every month in your reports as far as great financial work. I want a motion to accept this report and file it.
I think we'll need to just wait until we open up the public hearing. City Clerk? Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. And then Board Member Schaefer.
Yeah, thank you again, Tim, for the report. And again, I recommend anybody that wants to really see how it happens, go out and actually see the filtration system. It really is old fashioned. It just filters through rocks and charcoal and the whole deal, and it's pretty impressive. I think we talked about this out there on the on the tour. Is there any way to, for the significant costs of the $6 million or the reverse osmosis, would there be a way to do I'm not gonna say a for-profit, but a for-profit model where if people like the livable or living water over here off of Encinitas Boulevard, that's how they filter their water for purchase, and people are paying $1.25 a gallon for it. There's water delivery systems where people are getting water to their house. So if people wanted a to buy water specifically for their home, to be delivered, would there be a way for us to offset the cost by bringing on that model where we now have people that, because there's people that do want that and they already do it. They're going to Culligan or Palomar Water.
Let me make sure I understand the question. Are you asking if there is basically an additional treatment we could do at the facility to provide a separate quality of water?
Well, we bring on, basically, we become a competitor to Culligan and Palomar,
Oh,
where
I
people
see.
are getting delivered water, especially if they want a higher quality of water, because you're talking about $30 million for a reverse osmosis type system, to a place where it might take 10, 15 years to get to a place where it's offsetting the cost or whatever. But at some point now, we can offer the entire city that water. So our city just becomes.
I see. I would say theoretically we could. I don't know what type of legal background would allow that, being a public agency and then having a side set of for-profit providing separate water quality.
Just a different, I guess, a different rate. I'm not even sure
Yeah.
if it's a different. So people would have to pick it up or whatever it is, or.
Yeah. I mean, if the term for-profit makes me think probably no.
Yeah.
Just because of the legal aspects behind it.
Yeah.
But as far as in theory, we could do additional treatment for separate customers.
I guess the words I'm using now is public-private partnership is probably the best avenue to go, or something like that.
I'm probably not the best person
Above
to
your,
ask,
yeah, I got
apologize.
you. All right. I just want to get it on record, so just a question. Thanks, Tim.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. What I'll do next is officially open the public hearing. And City Clerk, are there any speakers? All right, thank you. And I will now close the public hearing. We have a, yep.
Second.
Thank you. And we have a second. Very good. Thank you. We'll move on to 10C. 10C is the adoption of fiscal year 25-26 San Diego Water District operating and capital budget. We will have Finance Manager Kazangu present.
Thank you, President Lyons and members of the board. Just wanted to give you a heads up. The presentation I'm about to make is exactly the same presentation that you saw last month. So I can go through the whole presentation, or I can highlight just the changes that have happened since then, at your pleasure.
I'm all right with highlighting the changes. Is everyone else?
Yep.
We've seen it thoroughly in the public forum. Okay. Highlight the changes, please.
All right. So as you may recall, last month we presented a budget for the district with about $25.1 million in revenues and about $27.4 million in expenditures. Since that time, there has been some development within the County Water Authority in terms of the rates that they're planning to pass on to us. Initially, we built the budget knowing or expecting a rate increase of about 16%, but since then discussions have indicated that they are leaning more towards a 12, somewhere between 10 to 12%. So we went back and revised the expenditure budget and factored in the 12%, which then brings us to new expenditures that we're asking the board to adopt of to the tune of about $66,000 less. And that is driven mainly by an increase of about $8,600 in personnel expenditures due to adding in sick leave buyout for employees, as well as a $75,000 reduction in the expenditures for potable water purchases. There's also a factored in a $30,000 reduction in the pass-through charges, which is funds that we collected on behalf of the County Water Authority. So with those changes, I'm happy to report that this is what we are projecting to be our ending reserves. Keeping in mind that the Water Authority has not finalized whatever the rate increase will be, but given that we factored in a 12% increase in rates, we think we might be able to, at the end of fiscal 25-26, we may be able to fully fund the operating reserve, fully fund the capital replacement reserve, and start replenishing our rate stabilization reserve. But again, I must caution that this is dependent on what final numbers will be obtained from the County Water Authority. And with that, I will entertain any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that information, and it's good information. Do we have any questions? I don't see anyone in the queue to speak. And so is there a motion on this item? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Kathy, could you repeat that?
There are no public comments.
Thank you. All right.
I have one question.
Sure.
Yeah, on page 10, I think there's a comment about Lake Hodges Dam repair. And it was, let me go to page 10 here real quick. And it was listed at, previous year was 750,000, dropping to 500,000. I think later in the report, it goes 500,000 another year, then up eventually to a million in the 6th year. Why the modulation? What is that for? Is that just saving for future? Is that a reserve fund, basically?
Yes, that's what we thought 3 years ago, because we were talking about getting up some monies in order for us to contribute towards the design of the Lake Hodges Dam during this period of time. So we wanted to make sure that we do that over year after year so that we don't really get billed for a big chunk of money in 1 year. And that's what the whole intention. It's like a reserve fund that we can utilize for Lake Hodges.
Okay, and we chose to drop it to 500,000, but plan on going back up to $1 million in years because of fiscal constraints in this year's budget?
I believe that was part of the rate study that we have conducted. That's what was proposed as part of the rate study. Is that correct?
Indeed, that was part of the rate study recommendation, was that in order to avoid really large rate increases being passed on to our customers, that we could drop some of their expenditures or expected expenditures, since nothing had yet moved on the Lake Hodges repairs from the city of San Diego.
And then as the increased rates come in future years, we will be back in a position to be contributing, saving $1 million a year towards that Lake Hodges fund.
Yes,
Okay.
that was the intent, that they will be addressed in the next rate study, and also hopefully at that time we'll have gotten more information or more detail on what's going to happen with Lake Hodges itself.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Let me double check to see if I have any other speakers. I see no other speakers in the queue.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adopt.
Would that be the resolution 2507 and the 2508?
Yes.
Second.
And also to thank Mary for many years of service, because I believe this is the... Thank you. Great work.
And before we move on to the next item, our city
If you
manager.
want to vote, I would like to make a comment. after.
Okay, we'll wrap up this item.
Sorry.
That motion does carry unanimously.
Thank you, President Lyons. I just want to echo that. I would like to thank Mary for her many years of service. Mary has been such a professional. She has done amazing presentations. Mary and I bonded over reviewing agenda reports. It was great. I'd call Mary, and she was so wonderful with taking, any edits or things that I had. But we will definitely miss her smiling face, her vibrant attitude, and just the professionalism she's brought to the San Diego Water District. So Mary, you know, on behalf of myself and all of the employees and exec team here and City Council, thank you for your many years of service. You will be truly missed, and we wish you the best health, happiness, and joy, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure to serve the residents of Encinitas, and I've truly, truly enjoyed my time here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we'll move along to information items, and there are none. And then item number 12 is board member reports pursuant to AB 1234. We'll start with board member San Antonio.
Myself and Councilmember O'Hara attended the San Alejo JPA on Tuesday morning, doing well, and they did have an emergency pipe break, but were able to fix it quick, fast, in a hurry, and got it done in a pretty decent budget for how fast they had to get it done. So that's all we had to report from that.
Nothing further to report.
I have nothing to report.
And nothing to report.
Sorry, I did that in the wrong order. And then for general information, before adjournment, we have our general manager's update or report. Do you have anything?
I just have one item. I was going to recognize Mary for the excellent work and for providing the support during the past 5 years that been with the district. She has been instrumental in achieving all the different budgetary health of the district, and I really appreciate her very much, and we will miss her for sure. But I have her phone number on speed dial, so we should be able to get that. All right, that's it.
Oh, those are wonderful sentiments and shared by all. Thank you. And with that, we'll adjourn.